Hey, how you doing? Welcome to a Sunday. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right here in Western Iowa. This picture I took out of one of the church windows yesterday. So this is how it's looking around here in Harlan, Iowa. Lots of snow still hanging around, and things are getting dire in Florida. Are you ready for falling iguanas? Yes. This was actually for last night. Temperatures down in the 40s or below 40. And I don't. This doesn't look like a National Weather Service produced product, but someone posted it on Facebook. I had to take it because it really is a thing. And if you live in Florida, you know it's a thing. But when temperatures get in the 30s in southern Florida, central and southern Florida, the iguanas can fall out of the trees, but they're not dead. They just need to warm up. And warm up they will. Let's get into it. Here are the watches and warnings across the country right now. And yeah, there's that freeze warning for northern Florida into southeastern Georgia. Uh, Big middle part of the country with some winter storm watches and winter weather advisories there. And even a little bit of a winter storm warning, ice storm warning for parts of Arkansas. Just a big system that's bringing a lot of mixture, rain, sleet, snow. And so, especially if you end up with sleet and freezing rain, things get slickery in a hurry. So it doesn't take a lot for that winter weather advisory to kick in, or even, winter storm watches if the ice gets a little bit heavier. And that also applies for northern parts of Nebraska. And here in western Iowa, for tomorrow and the next day, we have a chance of that wintry mix as well. So also up into Minnesota, South Dakota. You look in Arizona, and we also have some rain for the lower elevations and some snow for the higher elevations. So some winter weather advisories there for the Sky Islands in South Arizona, Southern Arizona, and then the Mogollon Rim, Flagstaff, some of the usual places. That also goes up into southern Utah. For the Pacific Northwest, we're looking for the Oregon Cascades, western Washington through the Columbia River Gorge into the panhandle of Idaho and into northwestern Montana and a lot of eastern Montana. Winter weather advisories mostly here. Winter storm warnings also. Winter storm warnings also for the Sierra Nevada of California, and flood watches continuing for central and northern portions of California. If you watched the football game last night, there was a lot of rain there for the 49ers for that game, and what a game it was. Man, that was a great game. I was kind of pulling for Green Bay, but I like Purdy, the quarterback Purdy, so I wasn't upset, but I was kind of pulling for the Packers. They almost pulled it off. And what is that along the coast? We're talking some wind advisories up and down the coast of California as well. All right, here's what's going on our surface map, and you see that very large area of freezing rain possible from North Texas into Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, and around that a mixture of precipitation that's getting into Iowa a little bit. We'll show you tomorrow even more so then. And freezing rain possible, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, parts of Oregon, Washington, and again, a mixture of precipitation around that. Further south in Texas, we're looking at rain showers and thunderstorms. For southern Arizona and western Arizona, it's rain, and I know they'll take that. And that also the case for California. So places that can use rain all the time, although the California drought was busted last year, some more rain. So that's good. And then heavy rain, flash flooding possible as you get further into northern California. Tomorrow, the freezing rain threat moves north. So, now Iowa's included, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, kind of what we call a silver thaw. When temperatures have been so very cold and you have a lot of snow on the ground, and then some warm air pushes in with a warm system, and you can get some rain falling from the higher atmosphere, upper atmosphere rains falling into the colder air. and then it starts to freeze on that snow and on the roads sometimes. And so it can cause a mess. And they call it a silver thaw because we are expecting warmer temperatures and some melting snow, depending on where you are in this area. I think, Kansas still with some snow on the ground. That's going to be melting faster than, say, our snow here in western Iowa. So something to watch out there for. Heavy rain, flash flooding possible for the Texas Gulf Coast, East Texas, and into western Louisiana. And around that, it's showers and thunderstorms. Showers and thunderstorms for central and southern California. More rain for Arizona. More snow in the higher elevations and north in Arizona, or I should say a mixture for the Four Corners, really. Into Nevada, Oregon, Washington. A little bit of freezing rain still in parts of eastern Washington, Idaho, also looking for that mix. And then when we get into Tuesday, still persistent areas of freezing rain, now moving further east, Pennsylvania, New York, still Ohio, up into Michigan, Wisconsin, parts of Iowa, and into Kansas. Here in western Iowa, for example, our normal high this time of year is about freezing. We're going to be a degree or two above that for the next few days in theory. And so the Weather Service is calling for a mixture of snow, sleet, rain, freezing rain. And so especially, when you get into the evening, overnight hours, it's going to be more of the frozen precipitation. In the afternoon, it's going to be maybe some liquid rain, which will help the roads, but not so cold and not so heavy that it's going to melt the 2 feet of snow that's on the ground. So we're not looking for flooding concerns for that yet. Our heavy rain, flash flooding possible moves into Louisiana, persists in East Texas, also now eastern Mississippi, western Mississippi, southern Arkansas. So watch out for some heavy rains here with those thunderstorms. And then you see the mixture of precipitation, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, rain along the west coast, and rain in southern Oregon with even some showers and thunderstorms further south in places like Tucson and Sierra Vista and maybe even Yuma. All right, let's take a look at our GFS model, in which we have loaded up here. Where do I have it loaded up to? Oh, this is noon today, so an hour ago. And as we go 3 hours from now, we see really the only thing that's going on is we have, let me back it up a couple because we can see that ice starting to erupt. But right now, we're looking at rain along the west coast with this system moving in. That is snow in the Oregon-Washington Cascades and into eastern Washington. Light snow in the Four Corners with some rain in southern Arizona. And look at that little shower storm. Yeah, west of Tucson. A little bit of rain along the Gulf Coast. But watch this area here. We're already seeing a little bit of ice as we get into the evening tonight and overnight tonight. That ice starts to erupt. This is midnight tonight. That's 3 in the morning. That's 6 in the morning Central Time. And so we're looking at freezing rain here into Oklahoma, Arkansas, into Missouri, switching over to snow as you get into Illinois. And some rain and some heavy rain for some all the way from Austin up to Dallas and over to Paris and Tyler, moving into East Texas and eventually into Louisiana. So we'll watch this ice overtake the Midwest, and we'll watch this rain overtake the Southwest. And our yesterday's run when we went through this, or day before, this was very persistent in this area, so we'll see if that's still the case. And we see rain and some heavy rain coming down up and down the west coast and snow in the higher elevations. So our ice turns to rain, so that's probably good news. And then showers and thunderstorms in East Texas. And we have light snow for Nevada, heavy snow for the Sierra Nevada, and then it's rain in Southern California and again along the Oregon-Washington coast. But this is the main game in town. A little bit of lake effect snow off of Michigan into Grand Rapids, and then off of Lake Huron into Canada, All right, continuing on. And we can see our ice continuing now, Illinois, Indiana, rain further south. We are now looking at the 23rd at midnight right there. So this is Tuesday, midnight. Some snow starting to creep in here. This is close to where I live. So obviously here we're watching that. If you're in Chicago, you're watching for possibility of ice or South Bend, Indiana, or moving up into Lansing and Detroit, perhaps, and then further south into Ohio. Yeah, that's changing to snow as we go further north into Wisconsin, and that looks like snow close to me, more south and east. And then rain, Illinois down to the Gulf Coast. We're at Tuesday the 23rd at 3 o'clock in the morning Central, 6 o'clock in the morning Central. Here's noon, and looks like snow. Michigan to New York, back to Wisconsin. Rain. Southern Michigan into Ohio and the Ohio Valley, and some pretty heavy rains here in Texas and off the Florida coast. We see some snow in the higher elevations in the Intermountain West, rain in the lower elevations. It's an El Nino pattern, so you're going to get above average rainfall, especially in the Southwest, which they like that. Trust me. Long-term droughts, So heavy rain moving into Arkansas as we move into late Wednesday into Thursday. And that rain moves northward into Illinois and Indiana. Rain for Iowa. We've had 2 feet of snow in the last 2 weeks. Rain. Not too heavy, I hope. So we don't want to melt all that snow at once. A little bit of freezing rain into northern Iowa like Mason City. And some light snow back. It's very light. And as we get into the next frame will be noon on Wednesday. And then we see a line of showers and storms. Rain very far north now. We're getting a big warm up, which we'll show you here in a little bit. Rain along the Oregon-Washington coast. Snow for the Cascades. But really quiet. I mean, this isn't like super dangerous weather. Obviously, some heavy rainfall and some flooding possible in Mississippi, back in Louisiana. But I mean, it's not super dangerous. We're not talking about killer cold or huge tornadoes or anything dangerous like that. It's just kind of a January pause in winter compared to what we've experienced over much of the country with all that cold. So here we are, midnight Wednesday night, some ice moving into New England, New Hampshire, Vermont, also into southern Canada and into Maine, and that's rain. Rain, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut. And some rain, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, into the south, trailing back through Mississippi and Louisiana and the Gulf Coast again. Light snow on the other side of the Cascades, meaning the east side of the Cascades, and light rain west of the Cascades towards the coast. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Nothing really huge in the way of snowstorms or Arctic outbreaks. Au contraire, it's going to be very warm. How warm do you say? Well, that looks ominous, doesn't it? So if this comes true, first of all, but this is the National Weather Service extended outlook, and this is your temperature probability outlook, right? So when you see that swath of darker red, it's like, oh my goodness, it's going to be really hot. Well, not necessarily. What this means is the darker red, for example, means there's an 80% chance, according to this probability map, that temperatures will be above average. So it's not that's how much above average it'll be. That's the chance that it will be above average. So most of the country with a good chance of having above average temperatures is basically what this map is saying. And so this will take us to the end of the month, to the 30th, which kind of makes me sad a little bit because Iowa is in the 60 to 70% chance of having above average temperatures, which people around here who don't like the snow, or it's a pain, or they have to work in it, or they're farmers, enjoy the break. Really enjoy the break. But the 30th is my birthday, so I was kind of hoping that at least all the snow is not going to go away, and I don't think it will. Above average here is, again, our average is freezing for a high. So, above average temperatures, we're not going to see 40. It's going to stay in the mid-30s probably. And then our precipitation outlook for the end of the month into early February looks like the pattern is going to shift for more rain, which we're already seeing in California and the west and the southwest. And again, these are probabilities that there'll be above average rainfall in those green areas and probabilities that it'll be drier than average in the brown areas. And the white areas are equal chances. So So going by those trends from the precipitation outlook and the temperature outlook, most of the country warmer than average till the end of the month, and the east half of the country drier than average. Doesn't mean it won't rain, just drier than average from the 28th until February 3rd, and the western coast and the southwest wetter than average for that time period. So enjoy the warm up. If you've been very cold, you certainly have earned it. And I'm sure winter will return, maybe with a vengeance in February. We'll just have to wait and see. And I'll be here to let you know as we go. So thank you for tuning in. Let me try that again. Thank you for tuning in to the Weather Mic. Have a great Sunday.